Hello and welcome to Season 3 of the Push podcast. My name is Jack Ferguson, an experienced marketing and sales consultant with a science background, and I'm your host. This season of the podcast is essential listening for small and medium-sized companies looking for their next stage of growth. Myself and other experts will explore common problems in marketing, product, and sales. We will deconstruct them and then detail straightforward, evidence-based remedies for you. I aim to give you both inspiration and practical solutions to push through similar challenges in your own company. Thanks for being here, and don't forget to subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 2 of the podcast. We are often racing with the new season. I hope you are enjoying it so far. In today's episode, growth and product marketing specialist Alex Urquhart is going to help us get a fictional, unusually named startup off the ground. The startup, which is trying to sell a product that helps consultants with efficiency in proposal writing, is struggling to get any traction at all. This episode is perfect for anyone trying to get those first few elusive customers. The CEO of the company we explore in this episode is Jordan Lee. So what should he do about this? How does he improve the abysmal results? All will be discussed shortly. Some of the specifics this episode will cover include the challenges with having free users and what to do when you are under board pressure to make sales, why founders need to be a political campaigner, the challenges of partnerships and why they aren't always what they're cracked up to be, discussing whether using Facebook ads to sell B2B services or products is effective, what you should do to get more customers coming in the door early, some innovative things you can do as a new company to get attention and build community. If you'd like to find myself or Alex online, you can find the links to our social media pages and websites in this episode's description, whatever platform you are listening on. But for now, let's bring in Alex and get to the bottom of what is going on. I'm here with Alex Urquhart again. Alex, how you doing, man?
Good, mate. Yourself? Glad to come back for another episode.
Yes, good to have you here, and I'm excited to hear how you're going to fix the woes of this company that we're looking at their issues. So,
unfortunately named company, but a company nonetheless.
Company called Writrrr. So Writrrr, which is interesting name. But do you want me to tell you what's going on?
Go for it.
So Writrrr, a nascent tech startup based in Seattle, is diving into the world of AI-driven proposal writing for consulting companies. Product purpose. The product purpose is to help to minimize the repetitive and unnecessarily costly work done by high-priced consultants to draft and send out somewhat repetitive proposals to secure new work. The team, led by CEO Jordan Lee, comprises 4 dedicated employees, a developer, a marketer, a salesperson, and an AI expert. And despite their small size and tenacity, Writrrr, I'll stop saying it, I'll just say writer because everyone's going to be so annoyed with listening to that. Sorry if you're in your car and I've just wrecked your speakers, but Writrrr faces significant early stage challenges. They're at the critical phase of seeking seed investment with only a limited personal investment from the founder, and the urgency to attract investors is paramount. So their product and AI tool designed to streamline and optimize proposal writing is still in its prototype stage. It shows promise but requires further development to meet market needs. The one marketer in the team, their challenge is to effectively communicate the potential of the AI tool in a saturated market, and they need to make it appealing to both investors and future clients. So I'm going to quote the marketer here, Bailey, who said, crafting a compelling story around our AI tool to stand out in the market is tougher than expected. Thank you, Bailey. Currently, Writrrr has 10 customers trialing their prototype. Feedback is mixed and the team needs to refine the tool based on early input. Casey from sales has said convincing consulting firms to rely on a prototype AI tool for something as critical as proposals is a hard sell. Ouch, I feel for you, Casey. So, Alex, my questions to you. There's a couple of issues that Jordan wants us to talk about. So, one's to do with sales, one's to do with marketing. So, they currently have 10 users on the platform, none are paying. And the product team don't care, as users are users, but the board's impatient and wants to see them converted to paid. The partners from the marketing side, the partners and affiliates are all the executive team want to see. They don't believe any serious business would purchase a B2B system from a Facebook ad. Burn. What should they do from here, Alex?
Take that, social media. Yeah, awesome. Thanks for the intro, mate. I mean, there's probably a bunch of the different things, even in that intro there, we could dive sort of straight into, but I'll refrain from that. I'll stick to the 2 sales and marketing points. I think, looking at the beginning of 10 current users, none are paying. Again, in the very beginning, everything is data, in my opinion. I think you've got to, it's so critical that like future success is future success. You've got to find the strike rate, what works, and getting customers using it, loving it, and saying why they're using it and loving it is just everything. But I'd be concerned. You've got 4 or 5 employees, and it's only a quick investment from the founder. So I think Jordan's either hiding some money up his sleeve, or you got a lot of employees there accepting low wages at the moment. So, I'd probably say looking at this sales one, I might be a bit bullish, but I'd stick on the investor's side with this one and say like, we've got to put a fire under this. You've got to find these people and convert them. In the early days, some people, will bring on free customers, which I'm not against. As I said, getting data is paramount. I'd rather have 10 non-paying than nothing. So I'd be looking at those and going through those 10 customers and saying, analyzing, are they actually using it? First of all, you might have 10 trials, but as actually going through it, how are they using it? Why are they using it? This is probably delved into more the product side of things. But if I was Jordan, I'd get both the product and the salesperson and say, well, let's meet with them. Let's sit down each and every one of them and try and go, okay, you've used it for X amount of time. How are you using it? Why are you using it? Are you getting value from it? Is it just kicking stuff up the road? Like, are you wasting time? And if they are, and they're saying, hey, we're really loving it, but it's not time right now to pay for it. That to me, the inner salesperson comes out and would be quite bullish there and say, well, if you're using it and it's working, there's some that you said before, there might be law firms, like they have money. I mean, for the couple of bucks a month, they have money and it can work. And it's more of a perception thing. And sometimes, especially in the beginning, and I've worked with a lot of founders who've done this, of when it's an early product, their confidence can come through as well. And they get a bit apprehensive of, oh, it's not ready yet. And one guy asked for a free trial, so I'm just going to give him something for free, which again, not a bad thing. But have confidence, back yourself and go, what we can do is helping. It may not be perfect. It'll be an MVP probably for a fair while, but push yourself and say, this is worth this much money, validate it. Because also having users is good. And the product team some product managers don't really care, because it's like, I've got users, I can analyze their behavior, I can see why they're using it, what's the UI, is it good or bad? But until someone pays for something, I don't really classify it as a solid validation yet. Because there's a lot of things I'd use for free that if you charge tomorrow, I probably would never use. And so it's like, is it valuable or is it paying valuable? So I would, if I was Jordan, I would get the product person, and I'm a big fan of dragging product people as much as I can into meetings with clients, because it's particularly the early days. I'd ask them, why are you using it? Are you getting value out of it? Soon, maybe the next 3 to 6 months, and I'm really a big fan, particularly early days, being super honest with them and saying, our investors are on our back. We're going to have to charge the next 3 to 6 months. If 9 out of those 10 go, oh, okay, all good, you can go. Probably terrifying, probably not a good idea. I'd want maybe 50 users in that case. But if they don't, they say, yeah, this is really great, and then you look at that strike rate, 10 is a very convenient number. But if it was 6 or 7 people say, yeah, that's fine, we'll pay $300 a month. That's 7 sales, or whatever I said, 6 or 7 sales right there that I can go back. And then taking that and the data that you gather from speaking to those 10 customers, and then using that back to the marketing person and going, okay, this is how they're using it, this is why they're using it. Because I think sometimes, like, particularly early stage on, I think at any size company, but early stage on, they're all connected, like sales, marketing, product. And it's about defining and understanding not what you think your unique value proposition is, or what you think the sellable value is. It's what does the market think? And then using that as I call it nucleus to everything else is based around that. So the demos need to be based around that from the salesperson. The marketing content, the blogs need to be based around it. I'm not sure how much Jordan's doing, but I'm pretty harsh on early stage founders to be like the political campaign person who's at the front door of everyone, knocking, shaking hands, kissing babies, that sort of thing, that they should be, or their narrative should also circle around that as well. Why, yes, we think we're a proposal writing system, or are we something that we haven't considered yet? Are we a business improvement tool? Are we an admin tool? Are we something that we're providing a value we don't understand yet? So yeah, it might be harsh, and resonating with some sales managers out there, but I'd push pretty hard and say, moving forward, only paid. And if you say only paid from now on and you can't get a single person, I think it's back to the drawing board.
Yeah, right.
And I think there's some pretty serious conversations that you'd have to have. And again, if they've got board, which is kind of interesting because they don't have investors yet.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, maybe it's mum and dad, maybe it's
Yeah.
their friends. But I'd be sort of going, okay, if we cannot sell this thing, do we really have a business? Right. So very generous for employees.
So what should they do at this stage though? So it's so early and people might be listening to this going, yeah, I've been here or I'm here now or I might be here soon. Getting something off the ground is a nightmare. Let's be honest. What are some things they could do? Because they almost have nothing. They don't have nothing, but they almost have nothing as far as, well, they have no customers and they just have some users.
Yep. Yeah, I think, again, I'll stick to this scenario here because everything's easier in hindsight, right? Like I'd say go back to the beginning, but I think so much of the, and I'll call it market validation, I think so much of that needs to be done before you've even started the company. Like I'd even say to people, the whole rise of this side hustle, I would use that as the days of running at a negative and just gathering data, like make an MVP and just figure out what clicks well before I've hired anyone. But if you've hired people and that's where it's sort of up and running now, I would, and again, very early on, everyone's sort of, I hate the phrase everyone's a salesperson because it's not true, but using everyone's abilities to fill the funnel. Because if you've got 10 users, it probably means you've had 50 demos. It probably means you've sent out whatever your marketing channels look like. You probably, I think the second part was around making affiliates, right? So I think, are you doing content management? Are you doing paid ads? Are you doing, well, you clearly, the board wants affiliate marketing? Was that the second part?
Yeah, the board wants partners and affiliates, and they're not real happy about the idea of using Facebook ads.
Right. Okay. Yep. And like, if I was at the early stage, then I'm again back to the whole data collection. I'm a bit of a scattergun's not good long term, but early days I'm huge to document everything you do. Try Facebook ads. Try 6 months of LinkedIn content. Try offering free trials. Try offering all these different areas, or paid webinars, or sort of whatever that looks like. And I do everything I possibly can and see which ones hit, because I think there's a bit of an issue, and I spoke about this recently, of like, you've got a funnel and the top of the funnel is always the widest and it's the most broad piece. So before you can, the bottom of the funnel being new customers, you've got to fill the awareness. So I think in the first stage, it's not necessarily that you don't have value or the pricing or all the things everyone worries about. Probably the biggest thing stopping you is no one knows you. Well, no one even knows you exist. So get out there and, like I said, be a political campaigner is the image I have in my head. And I've done this before with companies that, we get them on podcasts, radios, we write guest articles for magazines, we try to do affiliate speeches with other companies. So we'll run a webinar with a bigger company to get exposure to their audience, LinkedIn content, paid ads, all the above, things like some cheap hacks there. And I won't go down this sort of rabbit hole, but some cheaper hacks is, the whole, I don't know what you call it, I guess affiliate or associative marketing is, I always recommend this because it costs nothing, but come up with an idea for these guys, AI in consulting firms. Interesting topic. I would write a webinar, or I'd write a blog, or I'd write something on that, and I would shop that around to associations. Like if they're after law consultants, for example, law associations, I'd do a webinar with their associations. People are desperate for content, and we all know content is a never-ending battle. You got to keep writing it. So if someone knocks on your door and says, I've got this really interesting bit of content for free, can I do it with you? I reckon I'd get a 90-80% success rate out of that. So filling the top of the funnel, and again, just engaging with them. If you can get meetings or calls and outbound emails as well, just force as many as you can at the top, see what comes at the bottom. If it worked, great. If it didn't, roll the dice and try again. And to your point there too on the marketing. So the problem being the board, the powers that be in this case, they want affiliate marketing and they don't want Facebook marketing or anything like that. Yeah, and I think that's particularly some B2B and large ones. Like I think I get it. I hear where you're coming from. And sometimes I feel people can be a bit, I don't want to say precious because that feels insulting, but like a bit precious about, we're a brand, we work with large law firms. We're an AI company. We shouldn't dare belittle ourselves to doing that stuff. We need to partner with McKinsey's and, we need to do these really successful things, which is good, but when you're doing affiliate marketing, you're sort of selling through another person. And again, if you can build an army of affiliates, sky's the limit. And if you're getting intros into medium, large, or different consulting firms, maybe that is the way to go in. And that probably goes back to that testing idea. Try it. If you've got 5 affiliates and they are giving you leads every month, great. But be careful of what you sort of do that to. I've recently been involved with a company that they were hardcore on partnerships, and because it was a quite technical, large area, and that's hard to get in. And affiliates did get them in, but there was all these crazy agreements that were signed, like huge amounts of commissions and agreements that the person, the affiliate, would manage the client. And it's like this company was still early, so they were still figuring out how to manage the client. And so you sort of, the analogy I use is like, you play pool where you hit a ball to hit another ball. It's like you're adding another obstacle in the middle of the way. So
yeah, it's not necessarily less work, is it? Like there might be the temptation there that you get a partner, or you get partners, or you get referrers, affiliates, whatever you want to call them. And there might be some perception there. Oh, well, they already know all these people, so that's much easier.
Yep.
Not quite the case.
No, I think again, if the theory works, and I have no idea, I would be testing that. I think sometimes people think a partner, great, they have a great network, we'll get exposure to it. But I think in partnerships, everyone's thinking the same thing. They're like, great, I'm working with this person, they'll give me all this stuff. And I'd say 9 times out of 10, particularly startups, they create these partnerships and they go nowhere. And it's like, oh, we've got these 6 partners. Like, oh, what are you doing with them? Oh, nothing. Like, do they know the product? Are they across it?
Because it has to be managed too, right?
Correct.
It's not just to set and forget.
And I would say it's almost like a sales or a CS manager for a bunch of different bunch of affiliates. And those, if anyone's sort of listening and done this before, good ones will not farm them, but like herd them, I guess, and have update them every month or week with new updates. They'll drive incentives. Like, is it commission-based incentive? Is it you have a tool that you give them exclusive rights to that they can't get anywhere else? Are you educating them so they can be market leaders in their space? Like, because a lot of the time, a lot of partners end up doing it, particularly for startups, because they're just good people, because they're like, hey, these guys are good at what they do. I'll recommend them to my clients when it makes sense. And it's another tool in their tool belt. So then to me, I go, well, then how do you amplify that? And it's like educating that person, making it easy. Typically these affiliates, they've already got a full-time job. And I love it when founders are like, oh, they'll sell our stuff. It's like, well, they've already, like, no. Would you sell someone else's stuff? Like, you've already got a lot on your plate. So I think making it really easy, if you are going to go down, so I guess the 2 points are, if you are going to go down the affiliate route, and again, if the powers be tell you to do it, you've sort of got to do it. So if you don't do it, obtain evidence why you shouldn't. So if it was me, I would say, Jordan, we should go down the route. I would actually push Jordan to do it, because I think early days founders set the scene. Get him to go in, run some affiliates, talk to them the same as you do for customers. Would you promote us? Why would you promote us? What do you want to get out of this? We want to work with you. What does this sort of look like? You get something that works, do it a couple of times, test it. I'd give it anywhere between 2 to 3 months. And what do you get out of it? Do you get any referrals? Do you get any good word of mouth? Are you wasting 3 hours a week talking to these people? 3 months might not be a lot of time, but startups, some only have 6 months of runway. So
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, the marketer could ask Jordan that if they were being pushed to do that, who's going to manage these partnerships? Because that might move the perception away from it, something that you just acquire, to something that's, well, okay, well, now there's 10 hours of my week gone.
100%. Yep.
So, and as you said before, you might be having to educate them. So that's work. If you're having to help them, or if there's something in that contract or that agreement that requires work from you, that's work.
100%. And also early days on, everyone's already working 120%, and it's already being so much. And I think test everything, but be aware that affiliates, when you're sort of working through another person, there's that additional effort to herd them. But then also, I think probably the number one red flag to me is you're still figuring out what it is. Like, to the point you've got 10 customers, 10 users that aren't customers. But if you can't sell it, what do you think the affiliate's going to do?
Yeah.
Like, they'll probably find you 10 more free customers. You're like,
that is an interesting point, because what would it look like to the affiliate or the partner then? Well, who's really going to get behind this?
That is a good question. I'd say, again, looking at that, I would imagine the affiliates would be someone in proximity who serves in that area. So I'm going to go with law firms, because that's just a simple way to frame it. But if you're after law consultancy firms, and you look at, okay, they're writing they're writing proposals to their customers. Who else is involved with that? Who else works closely with lawyers? Is it probably not recruitment agencies? Let's say like some accountants I know work quite close with them. If there are other associations, like people who sort of sit on the peripheral and say, okay, I work with, all these huge law firms around Australia and New Zealand, for example. Okay, we want to get introduced to them. And then that comes back to that same point. What are you going to incentivize them with? I think coming to someone and saying, we want to get access to your network. Like, I wouldn't do it. I don't think any self-respecting person would. And that's a good point. If you do find people that go, I'll introduce you to my whole network, leave immediately, delete the email, get out. It's not good.
That's a good point. Okay.
So I think people, when it comes to partnerships or I guess affiliates, I feel it's always people who are in the proximity of it. So for these guys, I'm not sure. But for example, like I worked with a company that did skincare, and their affiliates were like what do you call it? Like surf clothing and surfboards. And it was like, okay, that was the proximity to that is they had a lot to do with sunscreen. The brand of the surf store was hardcore into sun protection and they promoted a lot of awareness around skin cancer. So they worked with them and said, hey, for every surfboard you buy, you get 50% off the pack, or in every box you got this thing. And so it was a really, really good exposure. And I think I'm sort of waffling on here, but I think the thing about affiliates is that it's got to have the sort of 3 Venn diagrams, something in it for the partner, which we said, obviously something in it for you, which is clearly more sales, and then something in it for the customer too. Yeah. Like I think if you're just hassling their advisors to advise you and sort of shoehorn you into the company, it's uncomfortable. It's not sustainable. Everyone gets like frustrated. But if you look at the end customer, for example, in this case, the sort of the law firms, who could you piggyback on that would be even more valuable to the law firms? Like, have they got existing software products? Do they have? I'm trying to think of like mainly just use Microsoft. I guess there's like probably some other I guess SaaS products that they would use, but I'd say maybe partnership with existing or incumbent software, and seeing if you can really supplement that on the side. So
cool. I want to know, you've spoken about it a little bit, you've talked about law firms, but someone may be listening to this and going, okay, so should I target law firms at this stage, or should Jordan be saying to the sales and marketer, Bailey and Casey, spend a third of your time on law firms, a third on accounting firms, and a third on management consulting firms?
Yep.
As opposed to spend all of your time on law firms for the next 2 months.
Yep.
What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's another good one. It is a catch-22, I think, because it's that whole, and probably the reason why they've got the 10 customers that aren't, because you sort of don't know what you don't know. And I think, and you mentioned before, there's an AI specialist in the back there. I'm not going to get into that. I don't know why that person's there. It's probably his dad or his brother or something. But I think you want to sort of figure out where you fit. And I think you've got to go to the table, and as much as there'll be product managers that will curse me for saying this because it's all about the data. It's all about what does the data say. But in the beginning, you don't have data.
Yes.
You can't sit there and go, oh, let's look at the data. You've got nothing. So you have to come to the table, I think, with a hypothesis. And I think the hypothesis is best, and I think most early stage founders, the best ones are those who've come from the industry. So I would imagine so. Jordan, I would hope so. Maybe he was a business advisor or accountant, consultant, and he's gone, hey, I've got this issue. Here's this cool overlap. I'm going to run at it. Because you've got to start with a data point, and maybe the AI person's another good data point, but there's only 2 data points there. And so you've got like, hey, my hypothesis is if I can help people write proposals like this, I can save them this much time and money. I believe we're worth this much. And you've sort of got to bet on yourself a bit at the beginning and go, this is what I think, and then go to the market. So your example of choosing 3 different industries, I'd agree. Yeah, I think like even maybe one every week or 2 weeks, and look at like your outbound emailing, look at your content, maybe run a webinar, and just test each sort of industry and see what you get back. I think the data will be messy and not very attractive to begin with, because even if, say, law firms are, prestigious law firm, are they willing to sit into a webinar of some random startup that just sort of kicked off? Maybe, maybe not. But I think if you can do all that, and I'd record that, and I'd be thinking about measuring that too. So outbound emailing, it's a dark art and very controversial, but I think sort of everyone does it, no one talks about it. So I think it's like if you, for example, you did 150 emails to each of those 3 industries, and you looked at what happened, and you go, well, hey, in those industries, we targeted proposal writing. So I'm guessing the person, hopefully the CIO or CEO, but that's always wishful thinking, or the office manager or someone there. And you go, okay, we approach these people across these 3 industries, and by far, accountants got the highest. We got 6 meetings, and the other 2, we got none, 1. Again, small set of data, but that's interesting.
Yep.
I would then run that again.
Yep.
And maybe with a new couple of groups, and if I did accountants again, I got 6 and 1. I'd be like, okay, there's something with accountants. Yeah, there's something here.
And that would indicate that could be your beachhead target group. You might start there from there.
Yep, 100%. And again, it's back to like I said at the very beginning, it's just gathering data. And ideally, when you've got a collapsing bridge under you and you've got to try and figure this out on the fly, it's far more stressful.
Yeah.
You make silly mistakes. You push things where you shouldn't push. So if I could turn back time for poor Jordan here, I would say just do this to begin with. Talk to your friends, network, go to conferences, chat to people. A lot of that stuff, it's extra work for you, but you can do that sort of on your own. Like sort of make a prototype. If I was him, make a prototype, go out to a bunch of people and test it with law firms. I'm sure if he's from the industry, he would know people.
I wonder whether he's actually asked anyone to try his product. It seems kind of strange to have a salesperson and
no sales.
Effectively no sales. But why isn't Jordan bring his 15 years of, or however many years of contacts to the party? I don't know if you've seen that much. I haven't seen it a lot, but occasionally you will see a founder or someone like this who doesn't want to tap their network. It's almost like that thing you were talking about before about it's not ready yet. I don't want to show it to the people I know yet because it's not ready yet. Let's get some other people who don't know me.
Yeah, I can crash and burn with them and it'll be fine. Yeah. I think that's for some people it is. I think there's also a level of, and particularly high level professionals, and I can respect this, is that it's like they don't want to sort of sell to their friends, I guess, which I sort of agree with that too. But again, I wouldn't think about it as selling to your friends. I would think about it as just doing research. And like talking to your friends saying, hey, I'm doing a bit of research. Do you mind if I ask you some questions? And then asking them, hey, is there someone else I should talk to? I think if people are trying to do something, particularly something interesting and cool, every time I've done it and been with people who've done it, they get really good responses. And people go, yeah, of course. Yeah. Let's go for a coffee for half an hour and pick my brain. It'd be awesome. And let me know how it goes. I'm keen to see what happens. So yeah, I think tapping into the network, but not in a way of selling to the customers, but just research. And again, back to the point before, if you're pressed for time and money, whether you like it or not, you've sort of got to know that unless you luck out, unless you spray and pray and you hit a few things and you go, great, here's 6 customers and we're finally happy. But if you're hiring 4 people and one of them's an AI specialist, that's a pretty big thing to tap into. So, it's like the only really growth that happens is when you hit that, I'm not going to say product market fit because it's a buzzword, but it's when you hit that exponential growth. So working hard now to make silly decisions to get 3 customers, probably not a good idea. I'd be looking next 6 to 12 months and going, how do we get from 10 unpaid to 150 paid to 1,000 paid, and whatever that threshold is.
And in this situation, and I really don't like asking this question, and it's going to hurt me to ask it, but I know I've heard it so many times, so I'm going to ask it. Would a Facebook ad work? So the board don't want them running Facebook ads. I cannot stand the question, but I know that people ask it. And how would you answer it?
I think, I don't know, I try to say, particularly at the beginning, until I can qualify it out, it's on the table. And I think with respect though, like if you're engaging, like you said, prestigious law firms or accountancy, you're not going to have a silly GIF as a Facebook ad to a fun landing page. Just put your details in here. I think looking at those channels, and that's all I see it as, affiliate marketing or social media, LinkedIn, webinars, conferences, trade shows, whatever they are, they're all just channels to engage with the person. And first and foremost, like I said at the start, you just got to get in front of them. And, I've used, as an example, one before, in Australia particularly, that one of the strongest, even B2B social medias is Facebook. I think YouTube's pretty close there too. But I've worked with B2B companies where they go, we'll go to LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn is a B2B network. This is where we'll sell, we'll do it. And Australia is very, very tricky with LinkedIn paid at least. It's, I've had most times on average across 4 different companies between 6 to 10x more expensive than Facebook. Facebook's targeting is phenomenal. It had a hit from obviously privacy laws, which is fine. But even with that, it's still super accurate. And like I would then say, not just that's the medium, when like I say, like that's the plate you serve it on, but it's a matter of what are you serving. If it's, hey, buy our AI software, maybe not. Or if it's one that, which I've done for large companies like this, even sort of bigger ones, big sort of blue chip mining companies, industrial companies, and I've done a webinar and used Facebook paid ads to attract people to the webinar or attract people to download a white paper, and it's worked phenomenally. Like, and the targeting and the cheat, like we got it down to like $5 a subscriber, and it was like 1 in 5 we got a meeting with, so $25 per lead. And other times we've spent weeks and months developing content and running webinars or LinkedIn content and got nothing. So never be above any channel. I mean, probably not Pinterest, right? Like I think there's certain things that get a bit ridiculous, but I think, like don't be above it, but then also, which I know you're a big fan of branding, be congruent with your brand too. You don't want to be a really prestigious AI, highly technical product and then be seen as like this like fun social app on the side. It's not really congruent, and you might break trust or you might seem a bit off. So short answer is test everything. Don't take it off the table until you've proven it. If you run it to give some sort of thing, my advice to Jordan would be in this case, seeing what the data is, let's run a test. Ideally, you can run as low as $5 a day, hopefully for at least 2 months, a month or sort of whatever that works out to be, a couple $100, and let's test 2 different things. Let's try subscribing to your newsletter or a webinar, and let's try fill out this form to book a meeting to see this new AI technology. If you get nothing, you get nothing. You chalk it up, move on. But if you get a $20 lead on a Facebook ad beats the hell out of hiring a $100,000 salesperson to make cold calls. So,
and Casey's not selling much. So
we can replace Casey with an algorithm is what I'm trying to say.
The other thing I'd be interested in here is whether everyone's tapping their own networks, which I think is useful at the early stage. I mean, it might be a bit harder for employees, but it takes a lot, right? When you're early, it takes a lot. And I wonder if everyone is utilizing that, because that's the brand equity you have, is the personal brand equity at that point, and what people think of you, the person. Probably, Writrrr doesn't mean shit yet.
Yeah, 100%. I'd say the personal networks, but again, I think people hear that and you're saying it's not ready, or they get a bit precious about it. I used to get very defensive because I was like, I don't want to be that guy that, calls friends from 5 years ago and was like, hey, I got this product, and it's like, ugh. But using the networks in terms of professionality, even on LinkedIn, right? Do a personal post on LinkedIn. Hey, you've got the new thing here. We're accepting, a founding members club. That was actually something that's worked. I don't think I've mentioned yet. Really early stages on is that people aren't stupid. They know you're early. They know it's probably a clunky product. They know it's first in. But then your advantage is that you then have this really innovative thing that's new. So I try to encourage people to lean into that more and go, I think everyone wants to be an early investor in something great. So lean into that and say, we're going to accept the first 50 paying clients as founding members, and those founding members will get a locked-in discount and, direct contact with the CEO or whatever, enough that's sustainable, maybe not direct contact with the CEO, but something that gives them, first access to everything, and they have all these benefits. And it's sort of like, I get like Kickstarter. People start investing in a lot earlier if they're going to get something out of it. So I would do that, maybe like a founding members club, and say first 50 paying, and then go to the personal networks of the staff and say like, maybe talk to your friends or throw a post on there. But even less than that, one step back, like I was saying about Jordan, not even selling, just research. Just tap into the ideally this should be done before you go to market. In my opinion, this is like, don't hire 4 people, then do research. It's not a good idea. But use those different areas. And I say the politician campaigning, but it really is like, you've got to be on the ground, knocking on doors, getting that information as much as possible. And to your point then, that's why I feel those early stage, because I would even say those 4 people who start the company, I would sort of look at them as founders. They might not be founders on paper, but they're building the foundations of the company. And I would say if that's what you're doing, then like you should have some sort of recognition in it. If you're say a nurse who's a friend of a friend, you're like, I joined this startup, great. And if it's in an industry that's totally different from where you're from, you're going to struggle a bit. Like you're better off finding people who are either from tech or either from the industry itself, and using them to go, let's hook into your networks, or let's try a lawyer demoing a product that helps lawyers. It beats everything. Like it stops turning from selling a product that you're now a consultant, and you can say, hey, tell us about your workflow. Tell us about how you run things. Here's the main 6 issues we see across everyone. They go, I've got 2 of those. Great. This is how we help.
That's a good point. Yep.
Yeah, so I think that's really important. So personal networks are good, but making sure personal preferences, but don't sort of bleed them either. Don't try and pitch them.
Now it can be uncomfortable for employees to get asked to do that. I know it's stressful, Jordan, but you want to have such a great culture and have the employees feel like they're part of something awesome though, and then they'll probably be happy to do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's probably, and that's too, I would look to hire those two at the beginning. Like at the beginning, I think maybe looking at potential equity and those sorts of things, but having people who go, I really believe in this idea and I really am so keen to get it out there and make it work. Because if you've got people there for a paycheck, I'm not saying it's not a bad thing, but you've got to have someone or some group of people that are the heart and soul and believe it unfathomably and push it as hard as they can.
All right, very good. Well, I think you've solved the first couple of problems for Writrrr. In the next episode, I understand that the PM is product manager is refusing to speak to customers because it's beneath them, and salespeople should be doing that. And according to the PM, the PM thinks they should be focusing on next sprints and the roadmap. Salespeople are getting resentful. Marketing wants to hire a product positioning consultant, as people don't seem to understand what Writrrr does. And Jordan's confused about these things. He's resistant, and he just thinks the value prop is improve outcomes by 10x and streamline consultancy. So what's wrong with that? So we'll have to have a look at the next few issues they have in the next episode in the Writrrr Diaries.
With 3 R's.
Yeah. We'll have to look at the name at some point too.
Yeah, we'll address that as well in the next one.
Yeah, cool. All right, Alex, thanks for being here. Thanks for talking through some of their challenges and what they should do. I'm sure you've given everyone lots to think about and take away. We'll talk again soon.
Awesome. Thanks, mate. Look forward to it.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Push Podcast. Please remember to subscribe, and if you are enjoying the episodes, please leave a review of the podcast on your platform of choice. It really helps to build the podcast credibility and to help others find this type of information.